Good morning. Hope you are all doing well. And today we are going to be talking about how to use that summer vibe to teach your tween some problem solving skills. Now, tween brains need some time to process, and you might have noticed this. This is probably not news to you that when you ask your tween something and you're asking them to make a decision to solve a problem, and you don't get an instant response. They seem to be thinking, and then they come up with something that you think is you're like, are you sure you thought about that? But that is all part of the process. I promise you. And coming into summer here, it's the perfect time to help them learn some new problem solving skills because they have the time to practice. As long as we don't jam pack that summer schedule, they'll have a little more time to reflect on things, to learn how to solve some problems, so that when they are heading back to school, whether they are homeschooling, whether they're going back to public school, whatever the case, they'll be able to have a model to use for solving some of those problems. So let's just make sure our audio is going well. And then we'll go here. Let's see here. Looks like we are good. And we'll awesome. All right. So today we're going to be talking about how to help your tween develop some of those problem solving skills this summer. And the method will probably surprise you a bit. But after today, you'll probably look at summer activities in a new way and see some opportunities for teaching problem solving skills. And your tween won't necessarily know that they're learning problem solving skills, although you could tell them that. But it will be fun. So if you are joining me live here today, go ahead and type live in the comments. If you're catching the replay, welcome, and type replay in the chat. I would love to connect with you. So let's see, why does it take tweens longer to solve problems, and how can we build those problem solving skills this summer? Because building those problem solving skills will help them sort out conflict, become more independent, and you'll be able to transfer some responsibilities to them, knowing that they'll be competent, capable of problem solving their way through getting some things done. When kids are kids, like in that childhood phase, they have very concrete thinking. So the thing is the thing that it is. And as they move to the tween phase, before the teens, but after childhood, so sort of in this middle phase, they're moving to more abstract thinking. So they're starting to be able to see beyond the moment right in front of them and being able to see, oh, if I do this, this might be the consequence. This might be the outcome. Whether good or bad, they'll start to be able to play that movie in their head and see, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that because it's going to end up with this other result that I don't want. But moving from concrete to abstract thinking doesn't happen overnight. So we're going to help them as their brain is developing. We're going to help them help their brain as they're moving into this abstract thinking. And with the slower pace of summer, it offers us the opportunity to do that because there's less pressure to make decisions quickly. We can give them room to experiment and try out some different things to figure out logistics and so on. For example, we don't even have to call it problem solving. We can call it planning an event. So, for example, summer barbecues, they go together great. Now, what if you said to your tween, hey, let's plan a barbecue just for our family sometime in the next couple of weeks. But I'd like you to plan it. Can you do that? Okay, they might kind of fuss and carry on for a bit because all of a sudden they're going, I don't know if I can do that. So the first one, you might have to do quite a bit of hand holding, support, talking them through, and we'll talk through how you can help them solve the problems that need to be solved in order to get to a family barbecue. For example, what's on the menu? What day is it going to be? Who's going to cook the food? Do they have to cook all the food? Can they organize their siblings to help? These things will be obvious to you, but they're not obvious to your tween. So, like I said, they're moving from this concrete, this is what I know today. How am I supposed to know what's going to happen in a week from now? How do I know who's going to be available? How do I know what I'm going to need? So we're going to talk them through this, but the stakes are low. Like ultimately, if it totally was a disaster and they thought they had some food planned and it didn't quite turn out, and then the hamburgers burnt, and now you have no supper, well, you can always have peanut butter sandwiches, then we're solving another problem. But it's the summer. There's more time to think of, okay, well, what are we going to do next? It's not the end of the world. It's not a school night where you have to like rush the next day for something. And so we have the opportunity to get those problems solved. Now, tweens want more responsibility, and they want to be able to solve these problems because they want to be independent. So when you are helping them learn how to solve problems, you can frame it as you're helping them become independent, which is what they want. We can't always be there to solve every problem for our kids. It's not our job, but it is our job to teach them how to solve it. And a couple of ways we can do that. We can demonstrate. So perhaps, that first barbecue where you're like, okay, let's plan this barbecue, and you let them do it and it just kind of was a disaster. Okay, no problem. Apparently they weren't ready for that. Apparently maybe you needed to step in a bit more. No worries. Try again. We've got several weeks in the summer. So this time they're maybe going to be helping you. Maybe they realize, oh, maybe I wasn't ready to take on all of that yet. But you're talking through what you're doing and helping them move from that concrete thinking to the abstract thinking. Okay, so what's going to happen if we do this? And get them to think about it and let them take the time they need to think about it. Not an instant answer, but have a dialogue back and forth. So this problem-solving skill can be learned. There's a framework called SODAs. Maybe you've heard it before, which means situation, options, disadvantages, advantages, and solution. Now, just because it's a framework doesn't mean it's going to take forever to do. We can go through it super quick, but if we think about this family barbecue situation, so the situation is we want to have a family barbecue. And we think, well, what are our options? Perhaps our options are Sunday afternoon or Tuesday evening. Okay. So let's think of some disadvantages. Like, well, what would not work about Sunday afternoon? And what would not work about Tuesday? So maybe Tuesday, Dad might be tired. And maybe Sunday, your older sister, your tween's older sister has plans already, so that might not work. Or it could be that the advantage would be Sunday, actually everybody's home. And Tuesday, or an advantage of Tuesday might be You could have a relaxing evening, and it doesn't have to be long. So it's a weeknight barbecue, it's simple, and it's quick. So you can start to help your tween think through these logical, abstract thinking kind of things. Now, we could say the same thing, and then we decide on a menu. So decide on a day. So that's the solution. And if you're letting your tween solve the problem of what day we're going to have the barbecue, then when they come to that solution, in this case, picking the day, let it be the day that they pick. Otherwise, they will not go through that again, because what's the point? They didn't actually get to make a decision anyway. You can do the same thing for the menu. So again, what's the situation? Well, what are we going to eat? Let's think of some options. Hot dogs, steak, hamburger. All right. Disadvantage. Maybe the sister doesn't like hot dogs, steak is expensive, hamburger is boring. Whatever the tween decides are the disadvantages. The thing is, the stakes are really low and it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're going to eat something, it's going to resemble a barbecue. The important thing is that your tween solved this problem. How are we going to have a barbecue? When are we going to have a barbecue? What are we going to eat at the barbecue? Each of those was a problem to be solved, and they solved it. And we're teaching them this process. And because it's summer, you can go through that slower. So maybe advantages: hot dogs, we can have them over a fire. Steak is delicious, and we could ask Dad to grill it. And everybody can make a hamburger exactly the way they want. So we've got lots of advantages. So at the end of the day, your tween needs to decide advantages, disadvantages, what are we going to go with? And again, whatever they decide, that's what you're going to go with. So that's where sometimes you might have some input here, or you might say, okay, we have a budget. If you can do steaks for this amount, then we can do them. But this is the barbecue budget. So you might start putting some constraints that guide the decision making. So instead of giving up or getting frustrated when they encounter a challenge, if we help tweens learn how to solve problems, when they can be successful, when they can take the time to think things through, when the stakes are low, when there's the safety net of home, then when the stakes are higher and they're out on their own and they have to make a decision, they're more likely to be able to make a better decision. They're going to be able to manage their emotions, think creatively. They're going to be able to persist until they find a solution. Like with the barbecue solution, you have to have dinner. So what's it going to be? And these all go hand in hand with growth mindset, which if you are a mom who's raising your kid to be independent, you are training them to have this growth mindset. This mindset of it's learnable. You can do it. Now, we're not going to change the way our tweens' brains are wired. This is part of the growing up process. So instead, let's provide experiences, enriching experiences this summer, low stakes experiences where they can build this problem solving skill and use their brain to their advantage. So if they're thinking quirky, oh, well, maybe this would be kind of fun. And you're like, oh, it sounds kind of weird. But if it's not illegal, immoral, unethical, why not run with it if that's how they're solving the problem? I would love to hear your biggest takeaway from today's session. I hope it was helpful. I hope it helped you like rethink some opportunities that you might have this summer with your tween. And I hope that it's a summer of intentionally highlighting problem solving, talking through things with your tween, and helping them develop this problem solving skill in a fun way. Until next time, take care. Bye.